they have this the concept of a nuclear family, right? The nuclear family. And the nuclear family is, if I'm right, a mom, a dad, the Huxtables. If they right, they work every day. Both got a job. Y'all eat dinner together, right? That's what's said, right? If who grew up in a single parent home amongst us? Raise your hand if you grew up in a single parent home. Right? But okay, was born, right? You grew up in it, right? I so I'm gonna pose the question, but I get the background. I know nothing of what a normal mom-dad relationship supposed to look like. I know nothing of that. My father did what he did. He came and got me on the weekends. Uh, you all right? My mom, again, my mama was the epitome of mama. Look, if she watched, my mom loved me now, but my mom was the pretty girl. My dad was. I am the result of a real baby boomer, 60 hustling pimp dad, 70s mom, street girl, child. That's me, right? So I know nothing of us going to the movies together, sitting down, having dinner together, etc. Right? Somebody coming to your games, your dad. I don't know nothing about that. What is it? Is there a difference from having a dad in the house to not having a dad in the house? And does it make a do you feel some type of it's a two-part. Is there a difference from not having a dad in the house in this nuclear thing to having a dad in the house? And how is there a feeling of shame, embarrassment, or oh well with not having both parents in this quote unquote nuclear?
That's a great question, and I definitely you almost answered it perfectly through the question you just asked. Um, Growing up, because I never knew who my father was, never knew who my father was. Um, you go through an identity crisis, okay? So, but thank God that people always used to say to me, you're a little smart little boy. You know what I'm saying? For some strange reason, you just smart. And so what that helped me to do is I would steal from and I see people I admire, and I do it to this day. I see people that I admire, which is kind of gave me the thing not to really have hate in my heart for people. Is just to be able to look at somebody and be like, I like that. I'm gonna take that. Like I would see the guy down the street cutting his grass, and I'd be like, I'm gonna cut my grass. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna cut my when I get some grass, I'm gonna cut my grass. So I would steal little bits and pieces, right? So then still little bits and pieces from people that I admired that I thought was it. There was a guy that was real close with my mother. His name was Tony Fisher. Tony Fisher was the first. Like I live on 51st Street right now to this day. Back in '82, Tony Fisher lived in on 51st Street between Keith and Keith and Vienna Nash and all of that. Now back then, that was a pretty well-to-do, predominantly white neighborhood. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No, absolutely, absolutely. So, so when you talk about not growing up with a dad and having that embarrassment, having a feeling a lack thereof, because and then I want to also just really quickly answer the question you asked before about my friend Donnell. He was in the wedding just to escape because Donnell had his mother and his father in the house. His father he wore a blue collar. He wore the blue suit that everybody got to go where they was a blue collar guy. He owned a mechanic shop. So he put on every morning, get up, put on, drive his car, and go to his mechanic shop, fix cars, and everything like that. Donnell invited me to come over his house. We was in the 7th grade. He invited me to come over his house. I didn't leave for 3 years. His mother, his sister, and you guys all met him now as, what I'm saying, as we come in. His mother and sister and his father just was like, come on. Took me in, and I started to slowly learn values of what a nuclear family could do and which color. And I knew that that's what I wanted for my children. I wanted them to know who their father was. That was the main thing. You will know who your daddy is. If nothing else, you will know who your father is. You know what I'm saying? And you will know where to find your father. You will know that you can call your father. You know that your father will not turn you away or anything of those natures. So, as I listen to, and there's so many beautiful stories that I listened to tonight, mine's is a little bit different because I had to steal just to become the man I am today. I'd be like, and I call it stealing, just to become the man I am. I watched G. G don't even know this. I watched G coming up before I even knew G. Me and my son used to go in there and sell CDs in his barber shop. My son would go in. I would never go in. G met my son first before he met me. And, now G looks at my son as, family and, whatever. Same thing with you, Kwa. It's like, I knew who you was before. And there was things that I admired about all of y'all that I just adopted a little bit of myself in and made authentic for me. So that's just been a lot of my life, to this point. But I knew that I always wanted to be a person that a family could look up to, a man that a family, based on what I saw and what I understood. I know I often feel that this is just my own personal thing. I do feel that the men ain't necessarily got to be in the house, but I do feel those kids have a deficit if their father is not participating in some kind of way or being involved in their lives in some kind of way. So that's my thing.
Can I just add real quick? Like, dope. Like, T. Reese said something. So, back to, like, the caregiver. Like, I think about what my mom did and her love. Like, my mom passed away 5 years ago, right? And so, when she left, like, I didn't realize what I lost. But I realized
How
more.
so?
Well,
Because based on what you were saying to me, and I'm going to ask you that because I know how that hit when it happened. But I also know how your relationship with your sisters, your sister, your daughters, right? And even the conversations we had about where you felt like you didn't, right? How did you, when you just said that you said you didn't know how it hit?
my mother was the best
Pull your mic up a
cheerleader.
little bit.
My mom was the best cheerleader I ever had. Like, and like looking at it now at 52. Best cheerleader I like you can ever imagine. So you talk about nuclear. At the end of the day, nuclear is nothing more. Do you have cheerleaders? Like, do you have those? Like, Jeets talked about his sister at 12. His sister became the cheerleader for them. Like, y'all gonna be good. Y'all wanna eat? We gonna eat good. What my mom did was thinking, like, make sure, like, I was the only boy. Like, so I got all sisters, right? Like, so I got like 7 stepsisters all together. Like, I got one biological mom, dad, and then the rest step. But my sisters, all of them, gained what my mother taught. So when mom passed, it was like a baton almost. Like, hey, hey, hey. And they each took a different role, which is crazy for me because I didn't know what I was missing until they did what they did. One called me about, like, hey, so my mother used to say stuff like this, like, how's my handsome son? So my elder sister took the maternal, that part. The younger sister told, like, hey, talk to me. Like, listen, bro, like, mom used to, like, coerce me into, like, well, you ain't right. Let's talk. Like, nah, baby, like, call me, like, I don't feel the vibe. Like, so my sister, so I was blessed that they took that on. Like, Tone hit it best. Like, the nuclear family, I'm not saying it's a myth, like, because it was real. It was real. But what we learned, in particular as black people, was to also appreciate the village concept. So when those had to step in, that's why G story, like, G, I don't think you realize, like, when you said what you said about your big sister stepping in, I just realized my sister stepped in.
At this moment now. At this moment now.
No, like to this moment now, I kept saying like, yo, they just kept like I was the only boy. I just assumed I'm the only boy. No, they stepped in where they knew moms did the work. Whether it was like one thing black men take for granted, words of affirmation. My mother was the epitome of that. Listen, when Barack Obama won, Mom used to call me and say stuff like, "Hey, you ready to be the next Barack? You tripping, Mom."
But she could say that. See, but our mothers and the people who care about
Listen,
us
bro,
can say that. They can
my
speak
wife-
to the best of
My
them.
wife just posted something like yesterday, 2 days ago. She said, "I will continue to be the best cheerleader for my husband, even when he doesn't know somebody clapping for him." Cause we
Hold
struggle.
up, man. Hold on.
Like-
we gotta get one. You gotta rewind. Hey,
Sorry, I thought that was
that's you. I saw this thing. You gotta rewind that. Say that. She said what?
She posted something like we're social media now. So like and that, I don't care what y'all like. Some people now on social media, I get it, but she posted something that said, "I will continue to clap for my husband when he doesn't know somebody's cheering for him." You know what that meant for my spirit? Cause I was like when it hit me, like we talk amongst each other as bros with drink sticks. That's why this is so special. We say the things we miss, but then we also miss what those sisters are giving us that we need.
Say less. Say less. Give it
So
up.
when she posted that, and I only hear, you only hear with like the thumbs up
Yeah.
or the heart, and you don't say nothing else.
Yeah.
Cause it hit different.
How tall did you get that day?
Fam, I stood up. Listen, bro, I stood on the mountaintops.
6'8". Hey.
Like, bro, like, so to like those like words of like when the women in our lives fill the spaces that we don't even know we're missing, it means a little bit more. Like Dove said he been married like 31 years. Some of us dream about that.
I mean, for real dream.
We do dream
For real dream. Hold on.
because we made mistakes in that.
Hold on. G, you was coming out?
I mean, I was about to say,
Okay.
what I was about to say was, you got a lot of situations where, man, where the father's in the house. They really wasn't in the house.
Meaning,
And
Blake,
I'm not saying,
please, I need you to really pull that out.
and I'm not saying in my, cause it wasn't until we started doing Real Men, Real Talk in my barbershop every third Monday of the month that I really realized it's not a knock against my dad. Cause I didn't want to feel like I was knocking my dad. I didn't want to feel like I was like talking against my dad, cause Pops was an unbelievable provider. He was working really good. We really didn't want for anything, but we definitely lived a very, very, very frugal life, But my dad, I mean, and Kwa can attest to this. I mean, my first time I ever remember my dad telling me he loved me was the day before he was about to go to hospice, and he died 7 days later. He had colon cancer, and there was nothing else they can do. But at any rate, I don't remember having those conversations, sit-down conversations with my dad, and he coaching me up and telling me about life and how to be that man and that provider and such. I learned, but back in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't a lot of fathers that really was like that anyway. But I learned a lot about manhood by watching Pops. It wasn't so much of him telling me things, but I'm more intentional now with my two boys. I'm more intentional about being a Pops. Like I talk to them in-depth conversations about, about life and about how to be a man, how to be a present man and a present, father, and why I do some of the things I do and why I tell them I love them all the time. My kids can't count how many times I tell them I love them, and I tell brothers to this day, if you don't feel like you have the wherewithal, if you don't feel like you are good talking or expressing yourself or coaching your son up, take him to the barbershop. I tell guys all the time, man, you missing the mark. You really missing some valuable time, man, and coaching up opportunities by not taking your son to the barbershop, by allowing your woman or your wife to take your son to the barbershop. That's the first time where boys really learn how to debate constructively. You know, that's where you first learn how to walk in a room and greet brothers, you know, shaking their hands and, you know, in the barbershop. So that's where you first learn the love for his sports teams, you know, through a barbershop. And the father ain't really paying attention that son is really, that boy is paying attention to every single thing he's doing. He's paying attention to how he's debating. He's paying attention to how he's greeting the other brothers. So I tell every brother that's listening to this or viewing this, do your son a service. Take him to the barbershop. Take him to a real barbershop where he truly can build and learn of your actions. You're not paying attention to what he's paying attention to. Trust me. Trust me.
Because, you know, in our time, yeah, give it up, yes. Because, you know, in our time, the barbershop was your rites of passage. Yeah. The first day you got to go. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I mean, go ahead.
Well, no, just to piggyback on what G said about, I was fortunate to have my mom and dad been married for 45 years.
Both parents in the house.
Yeah.
So let me do this right. Stable home. I mean, well, according to nuclear family. Yeah. Mom and dad in the house, working, etc. Right. Okay, go ahead. Now, before you answer, I want you to put this in your thoughts. Did that give you an advantage? Did that give you a sense of pride? And that it help you where you are now? You can comment what you comment, but I do want you to, in that part.
To answer all those questions, I'm going to say yes to all three. I mean, we all went to private school. I'm the youngest of four brothers. We all went to private school. All boys. We all went to private school. We all went to the best high school. I'm the only one of my brothers went to college, but we all were afforded all the things we wanted to do. I mean, you know, we had a 2-parent household. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad both worked for the county.
Okay.
My dad owned a tavern. So, I mean, so
there's income.
We was hood rich, I guess. I mean,
so that's what I mean.
Because my dad and G's dad were best friends. Right. I mean, so
there's some income.